Hello, Kipik family. I welcome you all today to today's Kipik podcast. معكم Fatma Busakhar from the Corporate Communication Group. And joining us today is an inspiring individual, our guest, Hind alkhatrash, entrepreneur and pioneer in sustainable products in Kuwait. أهلا وسهلا.
أهلا فيك.
How are you?
All good. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us today. Honestly, we're so excited to have you and delve into your story and understand how you came to reach sustainable products. You've been through quite the journey with this.
It was, I guess, what really kind of shaped this journey was how serious I was about it and how that kind of evolved over time. So Leap Loves Green, which is the current name of the brand, started more as kind of a side hustle, I want to say. And then very quickly turned into something bigger and eventually my full-time job now.
Wow. Were you always into sustainable products? And Leap Loves Green is a company that provides sustainable products, female sustainable products to be exact.
Exactly. So I would say my journey with environmentalism and sustainability started a little later in life. Like it wasn't something I grew up with.
Yeah.
It wasn't a consciousness I always kind of carried with me. It happened, I'd say around my mid-20s, around 2018, 2019. And it was brought to my attention through very alarmist content around climate change.
Oh, wow.
So, you'd see what's going on in the media, you'd hear the news,
True.
and it would like strike fear in you about the condition of the world. And so I think that's what kind of sparked my concern and my interest in environmentalism, is that it came from a place of like worry and anxiety.
Was it the world in general or Kuwait? Because I know Kuwait has so many pollution issues, specifically with regards to the beach, and I'm sure everyone can know what I'm talking about when it comes to Khairan and the chalet areas.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, the world, and then Kuwait in particular, because there's just like this concerning future for like what that looks like for us here. And I think, waste management is a big one for us here. Pollution, overall education and awareness around environmentalism is a huge concern. And so unfortunately, I think that's how I was kind of pushed into the world of environmentalism. But the reason I stayed, I guess, and I continued to kind of look further was looking at the innovation that was happening in this field and looking at, the new products and approaches and strategies and techniques that were being developed to help reverse these effects. And then that's what kind of kept me going, because you burn out very quickly when you're kind of taken by emotion and when you're taken and driven by fear.
That's true.
But when you find something you love about it, that's what kind of keeps you going, and that's what continues to give you hope and encourages you to get involved in that field.
That's beautiful. And you mentioned briefly that this is now your full-time job, whereas it started as a side hustle.
Right.
So where did you work before? Even if you don't want to mention any names, the field that you were in.
Not at all. I hold nothing against my previous jobs, and I owe so much of who I am to what I used to do prior. So funny enough, I have a background in cultural anthropology, completely unrelated to anything I do. But it was something I was just very genuinely interested in. And so that kind of led to my role at Dar al-Athar. I was there for about a year around, just kind of facilitating and curating events and being around these like artifacts and museum openings. And it was just such a rich, industry.
Yes, I can imagine.
Definitely. And so you get to rub shoulders with people that are so well traveled and so knowledgeable and so well educated.
It's inspiring, I bet.
Definitely. And then I think I was looking for something more maybe
Meaningful.
exciting.
Okay.
And an opportunity presented itself to me. It was completely coincidental. A friend of a friend was starting a startup, and it pertained to the world of like online fitness. And fitness was and continues to be something I'm very kind of involved in, and it sounded like something I'd be interested in taking part in, and so I applied. We saw that we were very kind of compatible and working together, and I just started at this tech startup. And so anyone who knows anything about tech startups, they are completely unpredictable.
Yes.
Nothing, no 2 days look alike. Your job role kind of changes almost by the hour sometimes. And it just kind of had me on my toes all the time. But again, it was incredibly beneficial in the sense that I gained so much learning, about how you can generate user experience, the best, kind of user experience for online platforms, how you can kind of develop an e-commerce platform, how do you kind of market and talk about something.
And that sort of translates into Leap Loves Green, which is your Instagram account for those that don't have a background in what Hind alkhatrash does. And your engagement is beautiful. Like, I'm a marketer myself. We're from corporate communication. So your colors, the way that you engage with your audience is actually pretty amazing.
Thank you so much. I get so happy when people say that because I have put so much thought and effort into the way we brand and the way we effort. Because like I said, the way I got into environmentalism was from a very kind of dark place. And so I didn't want that to be the reality of others. Rather, I wanted it to be welcoming and exciting and accepting and inclusive. Like, it wasn't a platform that was open to people who are ready to go zero waste tomorrow, but rather, people who are ready to take their first step and people that are at any stage in their environmentalism journey are welcome to kind of be part of Leap Loves Green's community.
And how did you make that step, since you come from a background of having experience in, let's say, also corporate world and then Dar al-Athar? How did you make that jump from, because also we have to also put into perspective that we come from a culture that is very much stick to your job, hold on to that, it's stable, it's what you know, and then we'll figure the rest out. So how did you make that jump from, okay, I'm about to leave my job and pursue this?
I owe so much to my prior boss, although he's more of a friend than a boss. My contract was coming to an end. The business had decided to kind of shift gears and redevelop the app into something different that we were working on. And so it was a very kind of big milestone or like big intersection that I had to kind of decide where I wanted to head from there on out. And so my boss at the time kind of sat me down and he's like, listen, this is a great, time for you to actually take that leap and go for like Leap Loves Green full time. You're ready, you know what you're doing. And, it's something you're passionate about and something that has a lot of potential for you. Go for it. Like, give it an honest shot.
So it's something that started during your time there and then sort of progressed while you were there.
Exactly. Okay. So it was just an Instagram account that I was just posting having fun with on the side. And then slowly it started to kind of pick up. I started featuring just a few products and I had a very basic website. But yeah, it kind of gave me something on the side that I always treated as like a secondary like part of my life. But it was very true. There was so much potential in it. I knew I had what it takes to kind of get it off the ground. And there was always this comfort of, I'm going to be on your team. Like, if you need anything, I'm there for you. If you need, your job back, you'll have that. So I'm really grateful for that kind of support that I was met with. And then also with my family, I guess. My father was super understanding about it. And I guess it takes a lot of, not self-confidence, but like one's belief in themselves that, they can make this work. And if not, they can find something else that...
Confidence in your ability to be able to say, I'm taking this step forward and I'm going to make it work no matter what.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly, that's beautiful. That's amazing. Yeah. And how did Leap Loves Green come about? I'm so curious about the name too.
Well, for that, we're going to have to take a step back. So like I mentioned, I'd always been involved in fitness. And one of the practices that I used to really enjoy was aerial circus.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So I used to run a small aerial circus studio, which I called Leap Circus. And it was, that play on words, the leaping, the gymnastics, the metaphorical, the physical kind of framing of that word that I had. And that was something that was happening much earlier. And so when I got into environmentalism, I'm like, I'm just going to do a spin-off off of that name and just do like Leap Loves Green, something fun, something quirky. It was completely not thought out, honestly. But it happened, and now I'm kind of stuck with it because it's become a lot more established. But yeah, Leap kind of came from a prior
experience that you had, and then you sort of combined the two, which I think is beautiful in and of itself.
it's a story to tell.
It is. It definitely is. And how do you think, with now that you're in the environmentally sustainable or environmentally friendly products, let's say, world,
Right.
How do you see that in terms of how it's going in Kuwait? I know there's so many pop-ups that sell a lot of, because I try to be mindful myself.
Right.
And there's so many outlets now, there's so many people that sell these products. But where do you think, as, let's say, as a community or as a culture, how are we heading towards that? And the receptiveness to it, too.
Yeah. I think we're definitely getting there. And I always say this, especially, and it's something that kind of occurred to me through our marketing and through our messaging, is that people, yes, would be happy to help the environment, but they're not really sold on that unless they know it's better for themselves. And so that's where I feel the interest and the favor towards eco-conscious products is coming. It's because they are more natural, they're organic, they're better for you, and then also better for the planet. So people understanding the first-hand benefits they're getting from these products is what's kind of driving and motivating them to invest in them. And the impact it has on the environment is just like a secondary thing.
Unfortunately.
But I mean, if it works, then it works.
Oh, yeah.
A win is a win.
Do you think there's an awareness there, or is it still under the surface that's like bubbling, or not at all?
I think there is somewhat of an awareness. Unfortunately, I feel like people, because we have so much infrastructure around hiding the impact of pollution, when it's out of sight, it's out of mind.
That's true.
So I don't feel people are quite aware of the gravity of the issue. To them, it's just like an inconvenience every summer where it's like a little hotter than the last. But the impacts of that are much greater. And so I feel like the awareness still needs to kind of get there. And I feel it will eventually bubble up to the surface very soon, and hopefully instigate change from there.
I'm finding that there are, I don't want to say a big, but maybe like a medium-sized group in Kuwait that are advocating for this. There are also the people that are providing these products. And so I think I completely agree with you. We have a long way to go, but at least there are some steps forward.
Totally. And the added value that it now gives restaurants and companies to have that kind of environmental mindfulness to the way they approach their business, be it their takeout boxes, be it their recycling initiatives, be it their beach cleanups that they organize.
That's true.
These are all things that are kind of starting to become more favorable and becoming more kind of common practice, which is great to see.
And even as Kipik, we do try to advocate for the community of be careful in the summer, be aware of the garbage that you're carrying on your boats, or, like Sob Shalihat, the chalet areas. Just be mindful of where you're throwing the things that you're eating, the things that you're drinking, and also in the desert areas where we try to tell people, like, if you're going out onto kashtas, just make sure you're getting all of your stuff with you and then finding the nearest dumpster to drop them in, instead of just keeping them out. Sometimes when you're driving along, you just see them in the middle of the desert. So with how inspiring your story is, going from working and then taking that jump into doing your own thing, what would you say to possibly inspire someone to lead a life of passion as you have? It's a loaded question, but from your perspective.
I always ask this to other people, but I never really kind of take the time to think of it myself. I feel...
or even just someone wanting to start something of their own. They're in a job, they're comfortable, but they want to take that step.
Right. Funny enough, I heard this today, that there is no amount of security that is worth committing to a life of routine that kills your dreams.
Wow. Wow.
And it really resonated. I mean, I crave the security of a regular 9 to 5 job, honestly.
Still to this day,
Still,
really?
I mean, I have my days for sure, where I'm like, it's too much, it's too unpredictable. There's so much going on all the time. I'm always, on it. And
It's up to you. You make it or break it, basically.
Exactly. So it can feel like it's too much to handle sometimes. And I do crave, that, 9 to 5 again, that, salary at the end of the month. And so, yeah, I feel when I heard that quote earlier today, it really resonated because there is something about submitting to a routine that really takes away from your sparkle, from your potential, and it's such a shame to kind of live life by playing it safe. Because I mean, there's so much that can be done, and if it works, that's amazing. And if it doesn't, then
you learn something new.
New. And I think it's that mindset that really makes or breaks a person in the world of entrepreneurship. I think is finding your anchor and then finding what success looks like to you and pursuing that, because it's not the bottom line. It's not what you make at the end of the month. And even if it is, that number is going to change month to month to month, and you'll never feel like fulfilled. So it's finding meaning in what matters to you. I believe that, is what I would kind of advise someone who's interested in considering to take the leap.
So you said it's really hectic because it is your baby, so to speak. So you want to make sure that they're walking, they're tonguing, they're safe, they're doing what they're supposed to do.
Right.
So what does a day in the life of Leap Loves Green look like? It's hectic.
I mean, it's kind of unpredictable. I also like to lean on assistance from abroad. So I outsource a lot of the work that I do to other professionals in different cities and different countries. And so I'm working with like 3 different time zones sometimes, be it the US, Australia, the UK. And so it can be really crazy because, you want to be mindful of your own time, but also like of your working hours. So the way you kind of split that up can be very crazy, but it helps, I guess, connect you with, a bigger network of ideas, of like-mindedness, of, a bigger community to help bring that global standard to home.
Yeah. And you've also collaborated with a lot of local artists, which is amazing because you've not only created a platform for female care, but you've also brought in different talents and pulled them in with you on this journey, which is fantastic.
100%. And I love doing that. I truly enjoy. One of the most kind of fulfilling things I've done with Leap is our newsletter, which we send out at the beginning of every month. And basically, this newsletter is a community-based newsletter. It's not something intended to promote our own products, but rather promote products and businesses that we are a fan of. And these are like women-owned businesses or eco-conscious businesses. And it's highlighting, what we love about them, what we've been using with them, and trying to get, some nice discounts and deals from them to mention on the newsletter. So it becomes a win-win for everyone. We get to kind of share with our community something that's meaningful to us. Our community, gets the benefit of learning about these new businesses, and then these businesses get new business from new.
Yeah, they get the recognition they deserve.
Exactly.
Which is amazing. And you've been featured in Cosmo Middle East. How did that feel? What did that feel like? Tell us about
exciting.
that.
So that happened shortly after we had expanded into the UAE with some of our products.
Mashallah.
Shout out to Drops. I mean, Drops have been our strategic partners.
Shout out to Drops. Love that.
And so once we got into the UAE, Cosmo did a list of the top 47 female-owned businesses to support.
Wow.
And we got included into their list. And it was such an amazing feeling because we had no idea. I had come across the article by coincidence.
I would have never known had you not known.
Like I was doing our analytics for the month, and then I saw some links, like new visitors were coming from a link from Cosmopolitan. I'm like, what? I clicked on that, and then I saw the feature. So that was crazy. And then it just kind of opened a couple of doors with like Savoir Faire and Womena. And for us to be like known as the business that's kind of, pioneering this movement towards more sustainable products has been so heartwarming and so unexpected.
And you really are. I know there are so many other businesses trying to provide these products, but I think you've become genuinely the pioneer, specifically when it comes to the female care products, which is amazing and commendable, honestly.
Thank you so much.
And you deserve the mention in Cosmo Middle East.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
So what's next for you? Do you want to tell us if there's anything coming up for us to look out for? And don't forget to follow at leap.loves.green.
Thank you so much for the shout out. What's next? I think it's just doing more of what we do best. It was only last year that I really kind of was able to position my brand the way it currently is positioned today, which was like specializing in women care and women's health. And I found this to be our niche and this to be something that was kind of most on demand. Because although there are plenty of products available, very rarely are there any that are sustainable and safe for women's health. So that's where we're at today. And I think that's just kind of going to continue to be what we further explore and expand in.
That's amazing. And we wish you the best of luck. Thank you so much for joining today. Thank you so much for telling us all about your journey. I'm sure so many of us were so inspired by you. Your effort is commendable, and we have appreciated you being here today. And I hope that so many of these listeners are going to be listening today and being inspired by your story and be able to take that leap as well. I think that's going to be the new hashtag here at Kipik. So thank you so much. We're definitely going to stay posted on everything that you're doing. And we hope to see you again, hopefully in a few years with something new, and hopefully next year.
And likewise, thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us today at Kipik Podcast. Thank you to Hind for joining us, and we hope for you to stay tuned for our next episode.